Coach DeCarlo. Today we're going to be talking about manifesting money. Now, this is probably not going to be your typical lesson on manifesting money. I want to take you from the concept that money, first and foremost, is spiritual, and then, of course, it's materialized into what we call reality. So, we're going to discuss that, but we're going to be talking about manifesting money from the spiritual to the material. So we're going to go on and get started. So when we're talking about money, first and foremost, a lot of times people think that money is not spiritual. So of course they have all these ideologies about money. And a lot of times when you start talking about money, people almost immediately turn off. And that's because we've been programmed for thousands of years to believe that money's evil. So of course, when somebody brings up the topic of money, then of course our reticular activating system says, oh, here he goes talking about money, and we turn off. What I want you to do is bypass that, and I want you to basically reprogram yourself towards what it is that you want to be, do, or have. If money is not something that you want, perfect. But this doesn't just apply to money. This applies to every aspect of your life. But today we're going to be discussing money. And like I said, one of the things that most people don't understand is that money is one of the most spiritual things that we deal with on a daily basis. Hey, John, how you doing, sir? And so what we're going to do is talk about money and how to materialize money and how we can get into a vibration of money. Good seeing you, Josie. Uh, so we're going to go deep into this, and we're going to cover what we can within this next hour. But like I said, what I want you to do is dispel the idea or the ideology that money is bad, money is evil, whatever. Money is energy. Thus, money is spiritual. Now, when we take it into what we call the realm of reality, then we represent money by currencies, by bitcoins, by dollars and cents, or the euro, whatever denomination you operate from. But money itself is a spiritual agreement between two or more spiritual beings. It's an agreement saying that we're going to use this agreed upon currency to offer as value for what it is that you're offering for what it is that I'm offering. So again, money in its essence is probably one of the most spiritual things that we deal with on a daily basis. Now, we're not taught that, but we're going to discuss that today. So let's first talk about money. Money, first and foremost, we're going to use an acronym, and it's going to be called MONEY. So we're going to go through the different letters of the acronym, and we're going to be discussing money from that perspective. So first and foremost, you have to understand that money is a mindset. It's first and foremost always begins in the mind. So as we begin to understand that money is a mindset, and we begin shifting our attention towards what it is that we want to be, do, or have, then of course we change the dynamics of money. So understand that money is an ideal, it's a spiritual seed. So once you begin germinating, now you say, well, Coach, how can I attract more money? Well, Jesus said it this way: you have to make friends with money. Many of us are in opposition about money. We think, like I said, we believe that money's evil. We think that rich people are evil and so forth. So for us, when money comes, what we find, because we believe that it's evil, we find a way to dispel that evilness, as it were. We have to change that ideology. Money is neutral. Now, money in one person's hands can be used for good, and money in someone else's hands can be used for error. But money itself doesn't care. Let me also say this about money. Money is not moral, it's amoral. Now, what do I mean by that? A lot of times we think, well, why do bad people have all the money? Money doesn't care. Money's like oxygen. Oxygen doesn't care who's using oxygen. Likewise, with the energy or the source we call money, money doesn't care who uses it. So if you're using that money for good, or if you're using it for error, then money says, okay, be it unto you according to your faith. But money is neutral. It doesn't care. It's the beholder of the money, of the, like we talked about in a couple of weeks ago, we talked about a hammer. It's the person holding the hammer. That person can use that hammer to build a cathedral, or he could use that hammer to harm someone. But it's the same hammer. Same thing with money. Money doesn't care. So, bad people shouldn't have money. If bad people are vibrating that I'm abundance, that I can attract money to me easily and effortlessly, and I'm using the term bad, I'm subjectively. But if a person is operating from a place of error, believes that they can attract money, believes that they do attract money, then to that person, he or she has the mindset, the vibration to attract money. Even a bad person can attract relationships. You know, sometimes you see, I remember there was a speaker by the name of Les Brown, and he was telling this story about a young lady that he was mentoring. And she says, "Well, I have a new boyfriend." And he said, "Well, what's your new boyfriend's name?" She says, "My new boyfriend, his name is Dog. They call him Dog." And he said, "So what type of relationship do you think that you're going to be in with a man by the name like Dog?" Now, is everybody by the name of Dog bad? No, I'm not saying that. But typically when we identify a man, especially by the name of, we say he's a dog. Typically we say that that person's a player, he's out there, he's doing his thing. So likewise, when we start talking about money, if we have a vibration that, now, so let me get back to Dog real quick. If Dog believes that he can attract relationships, and the funny thing is it really doesn't matter how Dog looks. If Dog believes, and he operates from the persona, that he can attract relationships, what you're going to discover about Dog is that Dog is going to attract relationships. Now, why do I say that? Many of us have this ideology, this belief that if I'm a good person, then I'm going to attract money. Money's neutral. It doesn't care if you're good or bad. Are you vibrating that I like money, money likes me, that I'm not enemies with money, I don't have hostility, I don't have negative beliefs about money? To the level that you vibrate that, then that's going to determine how money shows up in your life. If you're one of those that have been brought up in the environment that you got to work hard for money, and you know, we make just enough money to get by and so forth, then that's going to be the dynamics that you're operating from until you change that vibration. And there's tools to change your vibration. We'll talk about those briefly, but that's not the purpose of this talk. But again, you have to change your vibration. And quickly going through some tools: visualization, meditation, frequencies, you know, getting tone frequencies. If you look on the YouTube channel, you'll notice that I uploaded a genius frequency by that represents the mindset of Nikola Tesla. Frequencies will allow you often to bypass error beliefs. And the thing is, when frequencies are working, you're not thinking on it. It's not like, well, I got to think. The frequencies basically target certain portions of your brain, and it stimulates that place of abundance. So all of a sudden, even though you may have some deep-rooted lack issues, you start feeling more abundant. So you start taking more abundant actions, as it were. And you're like, man, I don't even know how it's happening, but I'm feeling more abundant. Pretty soon, as you start taking more abundant actions, then you start seeing the success of that. Then what happens is that you take more abundant actions. I was talking to a client recently. He has a clothing line, and he had had these clothes made, and they're beautiful clothing and so forth. But they're very expensive. And he just went out to the marketplace and started showing his clothing line. And the problem was, I did a video recently, and I said, you know, the reason why often what it is that you're offering, people are not buying because you're offering to the wrong people. He went from where he was offering to the wrong people, people that couldn't afford his clothing line, to a place where people could afford his clothing line. And one of the young men in that environment purchased 3 of his suits, 3 of his outfits. Now he has confidence that he can sell more of these. And that's how it happens. You start taking that first action. You create an ebook and you offer it for $7, for example. All of a sudden you get buyers on that ebook. You get confidence. You say, well, now let me go and try one for $27. And you keep growing it. Pretty soon you're offering a $1,000 course that's transforming lives. You're teaching other people how to be entrepreneurs, because now you took it from that $7 product to that $9.99 product, and all of a sudden you're impacting lives. So how you doing? Good seeing you. So as you impact lives, then people want to say, hey, listen, how can I get one of those courses? How can I be a part of what it is that you're doing? Understand first and foremost that money is energy. Money is from your mindset. Money is an ideal. Understand that I am, you're the source of the ideals. As you begin, there's a scripture that says this: test me herewith and see if I will not open up the windows of heaven and pour you out such a blessing that there will not be room enough to store. We take this as God opening up the sky. What he's talking about is your imagination. What spirit does is start giving you, say you start taking on these vibrational tones, you start taking on these different frequencies, all of a sudden you're starting to feel abundance. You start taking action, you start getting ideals. Once you act upon that first ideal and you see it play out and you see the results from that first ideal, all of a sudden you get a new ideal. The problem is with many of us, we don't even take action on the first thing that your inner knower has given you to do. But you keep saying, well, I just need some money ideals. They've given you the first thing to do. The inner knower has given you the thing to do, but you haven't taken the step. And now you're looking for more. It's like trying to move from first grade on to college, but you don't even have the fundamentals. Understand this. This is how it's going to work. You're going to get an ideal. You're going to start taking actions on that ideal. Some of those actions are going to be very successful. Others aren't. But what you're going to be doing is learning. Another name that we call learning is growing. You're going to be learning in the process. So as you create that first course, as you create that first short, as you create your new YouTube channel, you're learning. Now all of a sudden, understand this, you simply just creating a YouTube channel puts you ahead of 97% of the population. We think that, of course, everybody's on YouTube, that's not the case. There's a whole bunch of people that don't know how to do what it is that you just learned how to do in creating your YouTube channel. You're doing things every day that you take for granted. And because we're so close to the things that we're doing on a daily basis, we think to ourselves that this is not of value. Nobody's going to pay me for this. You'll be surprised at the millions, if not billions, of people that don't know how to do that simple thing that you learned how to do, but they want to learn how to do, and they're saying that they'll be willing to compensate you to learn what it is that you've learned how to do. Listen, when we shortcut what it is that someone else is doing, and we take a couple of steps off because of what it is that we've learned, people are going to be willing to compensate you for that. What I want you to see is truly how valuable you are. You can't even imagine how valuable you are and the things that you've learned. Let's say you're only 20 years old. There's certain things that you've learned in your 20 years, just like the person that may be 50. There's certain things that you've learned in your 50 years that you believe that most people already know, and they don't. But as you begin to package that and offer it as a solution, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I just want you to know how valuable you are. So first and foremost, understand we're using the money acrostic. So we're in the M, so we're going to move on to O. But first, let me go through this so that you have all the points in the M. Money is a spiritual seed. It comes from your ideals. As you sow those ideals and you begin to let those ideals resonate and you start processing those ideals in your mind, visualizing and seeing the fulfillment of those ideals, that harvest is on its way. So you have to decide. I can't decide this for you. You have to decide what money means to you. Are you going to keep money in the realm of being evil, bad, and so forth? Then understand you're not friends with money. Jesus said make friends with money. If you hold that money is bad, for example, only thing that you're going to do, even on your best days of attracting money, is you're going to find a way to get rid of that money because, of course, deep down inside, you got the belief system that money is evil. So then let me say this as we're still in the M. When you start thinking about money, you got to determine your why. I see and talk to people all the time that say that they want to create a business, they want to do such and such, and they want to do such and such, but their why isn't big enough. How do I know that their why isn't big enough? Because they're not taking action on it. So they're so complacent in their old ideology, their old belief systems, that because the why you want money. You say, well, I just want to be rich. Not a good enough reason. Because just wanting to be rich, I deserve to be rich. Not a good enough reason. Because why? It's not going to facilitate you taking the necessary actions to do the and become the person that you need to be in order to attract the money that you desire to have in your life. Now, I know that some of you are from the ideology that the only thing I need to do is sit in the silence and money's going to come to me magically and so forth. Let me say it this way. You're probably going to end up broke. Money, as with all manifestation, requires twofold. There's the spiritual, there's the material. The spiritual requires that we think, we meditate, we contemplate, we visualize. The physical requires that sometimes, often, there's action that's required. Now, you may not know early on what the actions are. That's when you go into the silence and let spirit speak to you to direct you towards the actions that you're supposed to take. But like I said, manifestation is always twofold. There's the thinking side of manifestation, then there's the doing. And, many religious, spiritual, scientific texts bear this out. Most of us stay on the mindset and we don't do anything else and we say this stuff isn't working. No, it's not that the stuff's not working, you're not working. You're not taking the necessary action that's required to become the person that you need to be. Nobody wants to do that. No, I don't. We've been programmed in this community, and so it's something that's off-putting when you tell somebody that they have to lift a finger. And I think that sometimes the thing that hurts people often is they take Neville's not lifting the finger, meaning to not do anything, period. Neville was one of the hardest working people in his industry as a speaker. The man spoke almost 300 days plus out of a year. Often his wife was in the hospital, he was on the road speaking. So it's easy. And many creators that you see have a large following. They may communicate, lift not a finger, but I guarantee the reason why they have the large following is because they're putting the work in. There's a time, what it's saying is don't force it. But when you clothe yourself in the person that you're supposed to be, do, or have, you're going to become that person. So let's say hypothetically, you're clothing yourself as a millionaire. Then clothing yourself as a millionaire, then you start doing the work that in that industry, whatever it is that you're doing. You can't say, well, I'm a millionaire, I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. Then your results are going to be nothing. You do what you find out what the other millionaires that are doing in the industry that you're in, and you copy it. You, of course, make it your own. I'm not saying plagiarize. I'm saying you repeat what it is that they're doing. And like I said, people drop off when I say do work or, when I say money. But if you don't do the work, I promise you, no matter what anybody else tells you, you're not going to get the results. And if you get the results, they're going to be short-lived. I'm just being real with you because you really need to understand how this stuff works. Why your manifestation is failing. Why you're not materializing. Why you're not doing, being, and having what it is that you say that you want to do, or have. That almost sounds like a tongue twister. Guys, I joke and I put humor in this stuff and so forth, but I'm being real with you. I don't have anything to gain or anything, and hopefully you take something from it, but people that want to give you the impression that it's just easy, they're creating a following. And of course, I sell courses, but you're not going to get a BS course. You're going to get a real life, how this stuff works course so that you can apply it and get the results. Absolutely. There's nothing, matter of fact, the question is, should we have targets, or some people would call them goals, when we're looking at manifesting money? Absolutely. If you're going on a trip, you have a target of where you're going. If you're about ready to get into a relationship, you have a target of where you want that relationship to go. The target, the goal, acts as a meter, a guidepost to where it is that you're going. Now, can it change? Your thing may be, let's say, okay, in 12 months, I want to create $1 million business. Then what you do each month is you build upon what it is that you need to do. But if you just say, well, I just want more money, If your goal is, I just want to manifest more money, if you've manifested $5 or £5, you've manifested more money. You've met your goal. The problem with many of us, we don't tell the universe what it is that we want to be, do, or have. Now, how you get there, you may not know. You set the goal, let's say, of $1 million. That's an easy target to discuss. You're not going to know everything that's required, but as you go through the process of how to create $1 million, you're going to start learning. You're going to learn the things that work and the things that don't work. Okay, I need to do more of this, less of that. So to answer the question, yes, you should have a target. Let me go on and move to the next point. Let me make sure I covered everything. Okay, have a why that's big enough. Once you make the decision, believe, you don't have to know how, believe that you already have, you already got money. The question is, what if the goal is I only want money? I don't know how much money you have right now, but if you say the only thing that you want is, you already have money. I have no doubt in my mind. And again, I don't know what your financial situation is, but if you got a quarter in your pocket, if you got a whatever the equivalent in the UK of that equivalency of a quarter, you have money. So you saying that you've already manifested, if that's the goal, then you've already manifested having money. The reason why you make a distinction, like I said, if the goal is I just want money, you got money. Even if you got a penny, you got money. You can walk down the street. Often I'm walking through, in our area, we have a Walmart or a gas station. Any given moment, I can look down on the ground and there's going to be a coin, there's going to be a penny, there's going to be something that somebody's dropped and didn't pick up. So if you offer the universe, God, source, vague results, vague outcomes, vague goals, then that's what you're going to get. I'm not saying that you got to say that I want to be a billionaire and you don't feel that I can be a billionaire. You can start and say, listen, I just want to make $5,000 a month. I just want to make $2,000 a month. Now that you've set the goal, now spirit, universe, God has something to work for us. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start seeing opportunities because you've planted the seed. Remember, money starts off in imagination. You've planted the seed of, I want to make $2,000 a month extra. Now, all of a sudden, what's going to start showing up are opportunities to make $2,000 a month plus each month. Your goal at that point is choosing the opportunity that best suit you. I started doing this recently. I started doing my frequencies and so forth, and just getting into the vibration of more abundance. And all of a sudden, all these different courses came up, as they do. But the things that I was looking at doing, my reticular activating system allowed me to see those things. So as you start talking, okay, I just want to do $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 more extra a month. Something that says, okay, I'm going to help you do $1 million a month. You're going to say, well, right now that's not where I'm at, so that's not for me. But the opportunity that shows up, and it's going to be in something that resonates with you. It's not going to be something I would hate doing that, but that's the only way I can see myself make. It's not going to be that. I was looking at this guy, Damon is his name, Damon Darling. And Damon Darling, for those who may have seen Damon Darling on TikTok, he's also on Facebook, he's on Instagram. But he goes into Walmart stores and he'll say, "Do you got a dollar?" And he'll ask people for a dollar. And they say, "Well, no, I don't have a dollar." He said, "Well, since you don't have a dollar, let me give you a dollar because I got plenty of dollars." And this is how the routine goes on. Recently, he's been banned from Walmart stores, all Walmart stores. I have no doubt that another opportunity is going to present itself. He also does stand up and so forth. My point is, Damon started off, he was in addiction, and he said, I did a prayer. Didn't know how my life was going to change, but I just prayed to God, show me a better way. Show me how to transform my life, turn my life around. all of a sudden the opportunities started presenting themselves. Damon Darling is a multimillionaire today, primarily because he stepped into what he was called to do, to make people laugh, to be his self, to be his unique self and make people laugh. I don't know what your thing is, but once you ask the question, okay, I want to make $5,000 extra a month, opportunities will present themselves. Just like this guy was coming out of his addiction and he knew that he would die in that addiction. His why was big enough. Once your why, and why do I say your why needs to be big enough? Because if your why isn't big enough, you're not going to take the necessary actions. You won't. But when that why, so you say, I just want to make money, that's probably not going to be a strong enough why for you. But when you say, listen, I see the condition that my family's in. I don't want this for them. I want something so much more for my children and their children. I want to leave a legacy. Now all of a sudden you have a why that's going to wake you up in the morning. You have a why that when you don't feel like it, you're going to do the work that needs to be done. Matter of fact, what's going to happen is all of a sudden you're not even going to mind doing, because you're going to be doing that thing that you're passionate about. Damon Darling was passionate about going into Walmart and interacting with people. He loves interacting with people. It just so happens that it tends to be very funny in these interactions. I'm not saying you have to be a comedian. I'm saying that you have to discover, and I've seen this over and over and over again, when people discover their why, all of a sudden they begin to take action and they start doing what is needed to be done. But if we keep making this stuff cloudy and we keep making it otherworldly, and we just think that money's going to come to us magically without us entering into the state of the person that we need to be, start living from. I talked about last week, excel, just living in the end, embody living in the end. As you begin doing that, that means that you're becoming the person that can attract $1 million business, a multi-million-dollar business. You clothe yourself in a totally different ideology. You're not going to stay the same person that you are. You can't. But as you step into that new identity, the tools that you need, you're going to discover that they're already in you, and you're just going to grow those tools out. So just believe that what it is that you desire, that you already have, it's in you. And I promise you, the tools are in you. Everything that you need to be successful is already in you. So let's go on and move to we're going to talk about the opportunity. I stayed on the mindset a long time, but it's very important. What's going to happen is once you start seeing it in your mind's eye, you start thinking about it on a daily basis, you start saying, and let me say this, you're going to start saying, how can I serve others? How can I make them laugh? How can I make them feel good? How can I get them through this trauma of depression? I went through this journey of depression. How can I help others get over just like I did? I don't know what your journey is going to be. But once you discover, now understand this, your journey is something that you've experienced and that you've overcome. You're doing this on a daily basis, the things that you're overcoming. But like I said earlier, because we're so close to them, we say, well, nobody's going to appreciate this. It may be how I got over a cold, whatever, depression, how I lost weight, how I started a workout program, how I started a chair workout program. Everything that I just named, somebody's a multi-million-dollar plus business in those arenas. I'm just throwing things off the top of my head, but I know that there's people that are excelling in those arenas. There's nothing that you can think of that somebody's not excelling in. There's nothing that you haven't discovered that others won't benefit from. You just got to discover how valuable you are. Like I said, we shortchange ourselves and say, well, I know this, everybody knows this. Not so. It's just not true. But so opportunities. Clarity, when you start thinking clearly, when you start, somebody asked earlier about targets, goals, when you start thinking with clarity, when you start giving your reticular activating system, when you start giving your subconscious mind something to work towards, clarity, it's going to start taking shape. Spirit needs to be directed. You have to direct your spirit. Now, you're doing this anyway. I talked about this last week about the man with the legion. You're directing your spirit anyway. Unfortunately, most of us are directing our spirit into what it is that we don't want. So we keep getting more of that. We keep getting so-called failures. Now, understand this. If you're repeating the failures, it's not a bad thing. Now, at least you know what you're doing consistently that's not getting your results. Change it up. Try something else. When you make the decision to what it is that you want, now you're giving mind, subconscious mind, your reticular activating system, something to work towards. Now you have a target. Now you're going to start seeing because you've offered clarity. And again, we're talking about opportunity. So we went from mindset to opportunity. Once you give clarity, opportunities are going to start showing up. I promise you they will. I was going through, like I said, I was looking at some material for some stuff that I'm working on. And two of these courses came to me. And when I was about ready to purchase the courses, Spirit had already directed me, oh, you already have that stuff. You don't need the you already have it. And another course that I was going to purchase over the weekend, um, the gentleman was asking for a certain amount. I said, well, let me just check before first of all, I didn't want to do a whole weekend course because I wouldn't have been able to be with you guys. But I had other things that I also needed to do. So I said, well, let me see if I can find the guy's course without going on to this weekend course. And I found the course at a fraction, almost 80% off. And it was still by a valid seller. The person was selling for this person, but the course was, like I said, 80% off. What is my point to you? Once you get clarity, the opportunities are going to start showing up. Now, understand this. I said it earlier. There's something that you've done, that you've gone through, and you've resolved it. Understand this. There's hundreds of thousands, millions of people going through the exact same thing, and they don't have a solution. So now what you have is a solution. You take that solution, go out to like a chat GPT, get the information, build a course around it, go out to Fiverr, have somebody put the course together for you if you're not familiar with how to put a course together. And I think I'm going to offer down the road how to do these things, but right now we're just talking. But now all of a sudden you have a course, let's call it an ebook. You have an audio book, get an ebook. Now you have an ebook to the solution that you discovered that everybody else is looking for, and you can offer to them. And what that can lead is to a deeper deadlines. Your deadline is not God universe's deadline. Now, can the money show up? Let me try to again move away from the mystical money showing up. You can tomorrow, let's say tomorrow, you can design a course tomorrow and begin putting that course out there, let's say on one of the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and start offering it to people and start making money tomorrow with that course. So the deadline, it depends on you many times, but if you're just miraculously hoping that the money shows up out of nowhere and I'm going to get into a money state and money's just going to come out too easily and effortless, I'm not saying that money is not going to show up that way. It's just a lot harder to consistently, persistently manifest money, just hoping that somebody brings you money. But if you're the conduit, if you know that, Bob Proctor said this, and I want to say what he said. He says, listen, you can take my money away. You can place me anywhere in the world. Give me a computer and an internet connection. In a very short period of time, I will be a multimillionaire again. Why do I make that distinction? Bob understood how money works. He understood that, of course, I have to give people what it is that they're looking for. I have to provide value. But as I provide that value, I know that I can find an audience that will be willing to pay for the thing that I'm offering. That's hard for us in this community because, again, we want money to show up and us not do anything. But if you look at scripture, if you look at the millionaires, the billionaires, the trillionaires of the world, they used their mind, created a product, solved a problem, and they offered it to the world. You do that. Say that you're in outstanding shape. Let's use that one. You start doing videos that teach the middle-aged man, for example, how to get into the, you don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, what he used to be, but as you're the best version of yourself, you're in much better shape than most people. So that's your audience. You're finding the people that are totally out of shape. And you're saying, listen, I can get you from totally out of shape to in pretty decent shape. The goal is not to make them a bodybuilder, but you're going to discover if you show up and they see that you have some results. And again, I'm just using fitness as a as a measurement, but I could have said money, I could have said, a number of other things. My whole point is that thing that you do every day, it may be just simply reading and listening to Neville Goddard, for example. Neville Goddard community is such a small community in the whole scheme of things. Most people have no clue who Neville Goddard is. So why do I say that? You could take the principles of Neville Goddard to a unknown community and start teaching them how mind works. And for them, you're going to become the new Neville Goddard because they've never heard this stuff before. One of the videos that I did recently with a young lady, she was in Spain, but she spoke French. And so she was taking Neville Goddard to the French community. So for them, that was new. There's a whole bunch of people, like I said, if you're taking the concepts, the principles that you know, and you start saying, listen, I'm going to start creating courses around this. There's people that don't want to know, or they may want to go deeper or learn your unique perspective on Neville Goddard. There's a whole slew of things that you can do. So the question is, money in a timeline. It depends. There's no set answer. You could come up with a money ideal, implement that money ideal, and have, by the end of next week, a couple $1,000s. For other people, they can do $1 million. It just depends on the individual and what he or she believes about money for them. So I have to answer money deadlines. It's not solely on God. A lot of that's going to be on you and what you believe about money. But if you believe that money is hard, then your deadline is probably not going to be met. You're going to have a change of mindset, knowing that I can be like a Bob Proctor, knowing that I can be placed anywhere in the world. I can come up with a product and I can sell that product to the people in that community. And I know that I can make a living. I can make money off of that product. But if you say, well, I'm just going to wait on the universe and I'm just going to wait, and then you have less control. I'm not saying that money's not going to show up, but it could take a lot longer. Hopefully that answers the question. So we talk about opportunity. Make sure that your why is big enough. The N in the money acrostic is nurture. You got to get in alignment with money. And we talk about this every week. To him, her who has, more shall be given. But to him, her who has not, even that which they have will be taken away from them. This is frequency. And like I said, I put out, you're welcome. This is frequency. So I put out recently a frequency for Nikola Tesla. And really it's wisdom, wellness, and wealth. So it's really 3 frequencies, but it's basically the 369. And it's in different variations. So you get in each ear. What that does is allow you to get into a different frequency. I'm going to put a money frequency out there in the next few weeks. The whole point is, a lot of times we have programming going on, and we don't even know that that programming is at a subconscious level. These frequencies will begin to stimulate parts of the brain that allow us to get into a state of abundance. So now all of a sudden, money ideals are going to start coming to you easier. Easier. You got to get into vibration. Like I said, if you're in the place that when you hear money, you turn off, then you're not in the vibration of money. Stop looking at money as something bad. To start thinking about who you can service, people you can help, the things that you can do with having money. It's not even bad to say see yourself in a nice car and so forth, nice house and nice relationship. Those things aren't bad either. But when you start coming from a place of service, your why becomes bigger. When you start saying, how can I change other people's lives? How can I impact the lives of many with the stuff that I've learned so that they don't go through what I've gone through? All of a sudden your why becomes bigger. How can I make sure that I leave my family a legacy? How can I no longer sleep in this hotel and get into a place of my own? How can I start my own business so that I don't have to worry about getting put out on the street or the economy or how bad it gets and so forth? You understand? Once the why gets big enough and you start operating from that why, you begin to get into a frequency. And another way to get in that frequency is practicing gratitude. As you get into an attitude of gratitude, you become a magnet. Listen, all the stuff that I'm saying, if you don't take anything away from it, understand, and I mean this when I say this each week, you're an energy system. So you're always vibrating. Right now, and you're feeling something. So in your feeling something, in your emotionalizing something, you're vibrating. We vibrate through our eyes, through our ears, through what we feel, what we see, all these things. You're an energy system that's clothed in humanity. But the way that you attract to you is getting into the vibration of the thing that you want to attract. And like I said, if it's money, one of the quickest ways to get into it is just really starting to practice appreciation for the stuff that shows up in your life that's beneficial. And even those things that may not be, know that you're just passing through, and those things aren't there to stay. As you begin controlling your frequency, and a lot of times, because the questions asked each week, how do I get it? Start listening to people that resonate with you, that allow you to get into, listen to a Joe Dispenza, listen to a Neville Goddard, listen to a Wayne Dyer, whomever resonates with you. But don't listen, you can't listen to garbage. There's so much garbage out there, so much negativity. If that's what you're listening to, that's what you're vibrating. So start listening to more of what it is that you want in your life. Start seeing the benefits of money. Stop making money. Like I said, money's neutral. Start seeing money as a good thing. I'm going to use it for good. I'm going to manifest and use money for good. So for you, money becomes a good thing. And in the beginning, the Creator said it was good. When he saw the treasures and the rubies and the sapphires of the world, he said it was good. He didn't say that money was evil. Jesus never said that money was evil. Apostle Paul said that money was evil because he was trying to dissuade Timothy from going astray. But Jesus said, make friends with money. I come that you may have life, that you may have it more abundantly. And there's many other spiritual communities that teach you that money's good. Even in the Jewish community, one of the richest communities in the world, not that they're the largest, but they have a different mindset. Jews see abundance, prosperity as a blessing from God. The church has caused Christians to see it as a curse. So, just like I said, the second I say money, bleep, 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 people start dropping off. But that's because you've been programmed. They purposely want you to think that way so that you will give them access to your resources. And a lot of that resources is right here. They want access to your mind. They want to control you. I'm not speaking propaganda, conspiracy, and so forth. It's just what it is. There's a small group of people that are controlling the masses. You start thinking differently, people are going to challenge you. That's just how it is. And most of the people on this call don't think like normal people, otherwise you wouldn't be on this call. And that's okay. So listen, you got to start getting in alignment with money. You got to understand that money is attracted to those who love it. And I don't mean, it says a love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. That love was avarice. It was a perverse, greedy, at all cost love. That's the love they were talking about. But Jesus says, make friends. That was an agape love, a brothership love with money. So there's different, when we're looking at scripture, There's different levels of love. There's probably like 5 different, if not more, types of love. But when we hear it, we hear, oh, I'm not supposed to like money. You're not supposed to like money at any cost, especially at the cost of your fellow man. How can I use money to build them up, lift them up? If that becomes your goal, it says give, and it should be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over. Will men, not God, he uses the instrument, she uses the instrument of people like you. Why not you? Why can't you be the conduit of abundance into the lives of thousands, if not millions of people, teaching them how to get wealthy? And of course, in doing so, increasing your own wealth. Why not you? Why does it have to be somebody else? Why can't you make a positive change in the world? Right now, it's a dire time. It's very dire. And I don't mean that from a bleak, but it's also a great time. Why do I speak of it being dire? Because a lot of people are losing hope. So what if you're the vehicle that can teach them that they don't have to be hopeless, that they can transform their lives even in the midst of a storm? Why not you? What would that be worth to your audience? But how much would that be worth to you to impact and change other people's lives in the midst of their own quiet storm? Consider that. And I guarantee it, there's something that you know right now that would alleviate the pain of others because you discovered it in your journey and it's worked for you. That same thing will work for tens of thousands of others. Okay, so get into emotional alignment with money. Visualize money, visualize spending money, helping people, serving people. Practice gratitude. We talked about that. Try this also throughout your day, especially at the beginning. Take 5 minutes. Do it. Most of us got smartphones now. Take your smartphone, put 5 minutes on it, and just think about it for 5 minutes. Set it in silence, visualizing yourself having money and impacting the lives of others, whether it be your family, friends, whatever. But now you've got all this money coming. You're like, I got so much money, I can't even spend it all. Now, how can I serve other people? Why not you? Make that a practice and watch what starts showing up in your life. Okay, so the E, we've covered the N. I'm sorry, we covered M, money. We covered the O. Now we've covered N, make it natural, and nurture it. Now we're going to talk about E, which is expression. Speak what it is that you want to be, do, or have. Tell money how you want to use it to serve. Money, whether you understand it or not, is your servant. So you say, well, Coach, I don't feel like it's my servant. Let me explain. If you say to money, there's not enough of you. Good question, and we're going to touch on that right now. The question is, how might a broke person, and I like that he uses broke as opposed to poor. Broke is just a mindset, and it can be changed in a moment. Just because you don't have money in the moment doesn't mean, literally in a few hours, money can't come into your life by some vehicle or whatever. It can happen that fast. But the biggest way somebody that's without money, broke, is how can I serve? What can I provide? That's the biggest and the easiest. Now, what you want to do is, like I said, practice going into the silence, visualize, emotionalize, affirm. Use the necessary tools to get you into the vibration. Listen to the frequencies for abundance. What's going to happen is you're going to discover how I can serve. Listen, the wonderful thing about, let's say, a YouTube or a TikTok or an Instagram or a Facebook, no other time in history could a person starting with nothing get on a platform and create their own podcast, their own station, as it were, and begin to impact and change the lives of others. You can start on, let's say, YouTube tomorrow, and you can start offering your solution to whatever it was that you discovered that worked for you. You can have in your link a link to an ebook or whatever, and you can say, listen, if you're interested, go into my link and you can um, absolutely. Uh, I had to read through it quickly because I knew I was going to lose it. Um, the thing is, they said in order to get into vibration, everybody has at least one experience that they've had about money that was positive. Replay that. You know, us coming into our first $1 million, me accumulating $1 million through my work efforts and so forth. You got story after story after story. The problem is the story happens, you get the victory, and you forget about it. But if you're living and breathing, and you're, I'm just going to say over the age of 20, you've had multiple stories that you came into money. You start playing more of those stories. You can even rephrase, revise the story, and understand this. This is scientifically proven. When you start creating these mental movies, your subconscious mind cannot, your physiological system, your body cannot tell the difference between what it is that you're imagining and what you're actually doing at the moment. So when you keep playing those mental movies over and over and over and over again, in your mind, it's going to be like, oh, I've done this so many times before. It just happens naturally. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly because you've played the movies over and over. So now all of a sudden, money opportunities come up. The windows of heaven open up and you start getting all these different money ideals. The problem's going to be, it says that, see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and there will not be room enough to store it. That's going to be the problem. You're going to have so many ideals that you're going to find it hard to decide which one to act upon. But now you're going to become a conduit for abundance. But like was stated, you start playing the mental movies over and over. At first, it's going to seem like it's not working. You know, what it's doing is changing your vibration. Now, now you have to have eyes to see when the opportunities are going to show up. I promise you, the opportunities will show up. The problem is we've closed our eyes to the opportunities because they don't look exactly like what we thought was going to show up. Your job is to get the end in mind. God, universe, source, job is the how. That's not your business. Yours is to step into the how when the opportunity presents itself. Now, you may step into that opportunity and start making money. So, well, I don't like this way of making money. Then you can change. It's okay. You lose nothing, but now you've learned something. Now that learning has made you more valuable into the next thing that you step into. So now you're counseling someone. So no, I've done that. It wasn't for me. These are the disadvantages that I found when I did it, but it may be for you. But now you've given them a perspective that they didn't have before. Even failure, perceived failure, can be very valuable if you learn from it. Okay, so get into the vibration, express, talk about from a place of having. Listen, your thinking, your talking will show up before reality catches up with you. Don't get to the place because it hasn't apparently shown up in reality and say that the stuff is not working, because the second that you start operating from that vibration, then only thing you're going to do is get more evidence of it's not working. Trust the process. Trust, even more than trust, believe that and you may have to get other examples, but believe that if this person can do it, if this person can do it, God's no respecter, universe is no respecter, source is no respecter of person, then I can do it. When you take on that I can do it attitude and you won't be dissuaded, It's only a matter of time. I promise you. Most of us never step into that. We keep haphazardly hoping that it's going to happen. But I know now when I set my attention on something, it's not if, it's only when. When I set my attention on something, it's not if, it's only when. You have to become that person. When you do this all the time. You make a decision to go down and get a glass of water. You don't say, man, I just hope I can get a glass of water. I just hope I can get a glass of water. I just don't know how this water is going to materialize. You don't even think about it. You just go down because you've set your attention on, I'm going to get this glass of water. But you know what you just did? You just manifested a glass of water. We keep making this stuff so complicated. Money's no different from water. It's only our belief that money's different from water. So we don't take the necessary steps to manifest the money that we say that we want. We just keep hoping that money shows up, and it never does. You have to get from hoping to knowing. And as the person was stating about the small victories, look at the small victories that you've had up until now, and you've had millions of them possibly. And you say, if I did that, I can do this. If I did that, I can do this. And you start moving forward like you're going to get a glass of water. It's not a matter of if, it's just you getting downstairs, it's you going to the next room and getting that glass of water. Watch, just become conscious of the things that you decide to do. Hear what I'm saying. I want you to understand that you're manifesting all the time. Simply be conscious in the next 24 hours of the stuff that you decide that you're going to do, and then you go out and do it. That's manifestation. All this woo-woo and all this other BS that people get, you're a vibrational being. You can't not manifest. There's no expert manifest. You are the expert. You are the expert manifester. You just take yourself for granted and you're like, well, I didn't manifest this because you got this still at woo-woo land. You still think that that's big. Universe don't think anything's big. You think it's big. You think $1 million is big. You think $1 trillion is big. So because of that, you'll never see those things. You think that healing's big. You think that getting your SP or getting into a loving relationship is big. So those things never show up for you. When you think from, that's who I am. I do this all the time. And if I set my attention on whatever, that begins to show up in my life. But just look throughout your day. You're going to be doing some things all day long. You're going to decide, I got to go to the bathroom. Look at the process of you going to the bathroom and what it took for you to make that decision. Get up, go into the bathroom, and how it happened. You're doing this stuff all the time. Money works the same way. When you make the decision, I'm going to make more money, the vehicle is going to come where you can make more money. Okay, so the last thing is why. Not why are you doing it? We already discussed that, but why being in yielding. Once you make the decision, this is where lift not a finger comes in. So let's go on and talk about this as we close. Once you make the decision, you get in your mind's eye, you say, listen, I'm going to create a business, I'm going to make money, whatever. I'm going to get in a loving relationship, I'm going to get in better health. I don't think about 3 days out of a week at least that I'm going to work out. I don't sit there and contemplate. I just go do because that's who I am now. You understand what I'm saying? I'm creating a business now. It's not a matter of if, it's just that's who I am now. Once you make the decision and you resonate with that decision, okay, money's coming to me. Get out of universe's way and watch the opportunities. Absolutely. Absolutely. He was saying, it's like comparing David and Goliath, where we consider David didn't see Goliath as big. David had already defeated a lion. He had already defeated a bear. So Goliath was just another stepping stone. He knew how to use his slingshot. Once you start getting the small victories, once you start getting, let's say, selling a course, and you sell your first course for $7, $8, $10, whatever, $19, whatever, it's going to get easier. It's like the client that I told you sold his first couple of outfits, and they sold them for, $700 a piece. it was easy for him to start to believe that maybe I got this stuff overpriced, maybe nobody's going to buy. But now that he has buyers, it becomes easier and easier to sell. You become more confident. There was a guy by the name of KRS, call him Chris. He was a rapper way back like in the 80s, 90s. And he was saying something about the rap game, and I use this to wind down. Yield to universe, God. Once you make the decision, the how of how it's going to show up is not going to be your business. You're not going to know. And even the thing that you think that you know how it's going to show up, you may start in that venture and it may take you into a completely different venture. But you got to go through the journey. You got to take the steps. You got to take those perceived failures. And I like to say this: fail often and fail fast. Because what we call failure is nothing more than learning, it's feedback. As you get that feedback, you'll learn better ways to do what it is that you're doing. But KRS-One, and I'm probably tearing Chris's name up, but his whole point was when he had got into the rap game, he had told somebody, he had broke a couple of lyrics out, and the guy said, "Man, that's dope." And so he got so pumped about the guy encouraging him how dope what it was that he said that he started doing it more. He said, but what would have happened if the guy said, "Man, that's whack." And nobody's going to want to hear that. How that could have shut him down. Why am I saying this? When you start on the journey that you've been called to do, to create wealth for your environment, for your family, to make a difference, to serve people, no matter what the thing is, you're going to come up with it, and somebody that you're going to share with, they're going to say, "Man, that's whacked," or they're going to say, "Man, that's a great idea," and it's going to encourage you. Be mindful of who it is that you're sharing your treasure with, because sometimes we can share our treasures with swine, and they stamp all over them, and they crumble our dreams so we don't move forward. And this is why the master teacher said that when you're on the way to your manifestation, tell no person. You're going to get to a place that you're going to know the people that you can talk to and tell about the things that Spirit's doing in you. And you're going to learn the people that you can't. But as you become wiser, and sometimes you might just be silent and do what it is that you're doing in silence until you bring about the materialization of the manifestation. Whatever the case, keep your focus. Just know that you know that you know that you know. Right now, you know something about yourself. Now, what you know about yourself isn't completely true. Now, what do I mean by that? You think that I'm not successful in this or whatever, and you think that that's who you are. That's not who you are. You can clothe yourself in success, abundance, prosperity, health, loving relationship. Or you can continue to put on the ideology or the beliefs, clothe yourself in those old beliefs, and get the same results. Decide right now who it is that you want to be, do, or have, and start living from that person. I guarantee it, over a course of time, the world will begin to shape itself, mold itself, acquiesce to the new identity known as you. Guys, I love you, and until we speak next week, have a great and abundant weekend, and we'll talk next week. Have a great one.